Thomas gave a master class yesterday at University of Texas. Basically, it could have been like the theme of this. It was the theme of this show: anti-leftism. That's exactly what he was talking about. We're going to get into
Thomas
it.
Gave a master class yesterday.
I got a little problem
at University of Texas. Basically, it could have been like.
Okay, sorry about that. Little technical problem here on the Ordinary American, because I'm an ordinary American and I am not good at the technical stuff. All right, we're going to get into the Clarence Thomas stuff. It was unbelievable, and I'm going to play you a clip. I still haven't figured out the video because I'm an ordinary American and I haven't figured that out yet. But we got some audio, which we played yesterday, or we used audio yesterday. We're going to use it again today, some different clips. All right, then I'm going to talk a little bit about Trump and his plan, because things are unfolding fast. And then I am going to talk a little bit about taxes and Warren Buffett. And I think we might just do those three topics. Welcome to the Ordinary American. I'm your host, Paul Sarkis. This show is anti-leftist, and the GOAT, Clarence Thomas, just showed us what that is really about. And I am anti-Democrat because I'm anti-leftist, because the Democrat Party now is a completely leftist party, just the way it was 100 years ago and longer back. And Thomas talks a bit about that. We want people to stop voting for Democrats, because voting for Democrats is breaking yourself into jail. Again, oh, by the way, that's the great Lola, the French bulldog. She's down there snoring. She's louder than Bruiser, but she doesn't fart as much. So, trade-offs. All right, we're going to get into it. Clarence Thomas. Clarence Thomas gave a masterclass speech. He is 77, and Trump said yesterday or the day before that he thought he might get a chance to appoint 3 new Supreme Court justices. I know the idea is that Alito and Thomas will resign so Trump can put in somebody who's younger. I certainly hope that Clarence Thomas, if that happens, and that Alito, if those guys agree to resign or want to resign, that they will have a giant say in who gets appointed. Yes, Trump has appointed 3 justices already. Honestly, mediocre. Got some good rulings, but some horrendous ones too. I would prefer not to lose Alito and lose Thomas for something more like the 3 that we've gotten most recently. I would prefer to get somebody just like them, because they are, well, Thomas is the GOAT and Alito is close behind. All right, I just want to play you this little clip. I got the volume up. Let's see how this goes.
Independence, and hence our form of government. It holds that our rights and our dignities come not from God, but from government. It requires of the people a subservience and weakness incompatible with a constitution premised on the transcendent origin of our rights. You will not be surprised to learn that the progressives had a great deal of contempt for us, the American people. Before he entered politics, Wilson would describe the American people as, quote, selfish, ignorant, timid, stubborn, and foolish. He lamented that we do too much by vote and too little by expert rule. He proposed that the people be ruled by administrators who use them as tools. He once again aspired to be like Germany, where the people, he said admiringly, were docile and acquiescent. The century of progressivism did not go well. The European system that Wilson and the progressives scolded Americans for not adopting, which he called nearly perfect, led to the governments that caused the most awful century that the world has ever seen. Stalin, Hitler, Mussolini, and Mao, all were intertwined with the rise of progressivism, and all were opposed to the natural rights on which our Declaration are based. Many progressives expressed admiration for each of them shortly before their governments killed tens of millions.
Okay, I'm stopping on that right there. I could have gone on. By the way, it is worth the watch. He's not a dynamic preacher, but the content is amazing, as you can hear from there. He was talking about Woodrow Wilson, progressivism, leftism. He's outlining very clearly what many of us already know. The leftists hate America. Woodrow Wilson was a leftist. I've talked about this before. He was a stone-cold racist. He resegregated the government. He allowed the recruitment film for the KKK to be the first movie played at the White House, Birth of a Nation. He was a bad guy. And as you can hear from there, he very much admired leftism around the world. He wanted docile people who would just agree. He wanted the experts to be allowed to run things, central planners. This is how the leftists think. That sounds exactly to me like what we have going on here today. Exactly. Clarence Thomas you got to listen to the whole thing, but he is expressing the point of view that the leftists are still here and still trying to destroy America because they still hate us and we're in the way. And he encourages us all to fight against that. He uses this great example. I was going to play this clip, but I think that one was more important. That he talks about, if you had a car and you lent it to somebody for a summer and you said, go ahead, take it, don't worry about it, and you never checked up on it, what shape do you think the car would come back in? Probably not as good as you left it. He's saying that's what we've been doing with America. We have not been paying attention enough. We have not been taking care of it. It's worth your listen, worth your time to listen. Okay? Now, I boil all of leftism, if I could, this is way oversimplified, and it's more economic and it's more technical, and he gets into some of these things. But after listening to that speech, it clarified for me the true nature of leftism, which is I, the leftist, want to play God. One of my favorite shirts, One Nation Under God. I want to make all the decisions. When he's describing Woodrow Wilson, he's describing somebody who wants to be in control of other people and make all the decisions because he believes he's capable. He believes he's uniquely capable and his cohort to be in charge. And they want docile people, like he referred to those Germans. Those docile people gave us Hitler. All of leftism comes down to, I want to play God. I think I can. And the reason why I and others say that this is a spiritual battle is because when God is implanted into society and you believe in the Judeo-Christian values of the Bible, the Old Testament and the New Testament, several things come to the top. One, God is in charge. We are not. He is all-knowing. We are not. We are sinners. We will always be sinners. We are forgivable and He forgives us. But we are sinners. When you have that point of view about yourself and about others, you have a fighting chance to avoid tyranny. When you believe that there is no God, or God is a figment of people's imagination and I'm smart enough to know what to do, that's tyranny. That's tyranny. So I boil all of leftism down into the idea that leftists want to play God or believe that they can. It's a great piece. I highly recommend you go watch it. He is the GOAT. I hope he stays as long as he can stay. And then I hope when he moves on, we get somebody that's like him and maybe better, if that's possible. Same thing with Alito. All right, I really wanted to mention that. I haven't seen that been getting enough attention. Maybe today it will. I haven't seen it, but it was tremendous. The mainstream media is never going to play you that. Not that watchers of this show would be mainstream media fans. But, and by the way, a lot of podcasters won't either. And a lot of shows won't. So I wanted to play that clip. Highly recommend you go watch it. Okay. By the way, got the new haircut. Feels better. Summertime haircut. All right. I want to talk a bit about Trump. I could get down, as you know, because I'm a fan of Trump. You don't have to love Trump like I love Trump. My daughter asks me, or when other people ask me, I use my daughter's line. Why are you so in favor of Trump? Why wouldn't I be? Why wouldn't I be? Just earlier today, he announced on Truth Social, first, that there was some things happening with Lebanon and Israel. And then that for the first time in whatever it is, I think it's 35 years, there's direct conversations and there's going to be a ceasefire so they can let things settle down. I think that's the 9th or 10th major military conflict that Trump has resolved in less than a year and a half in office, and Trump too. Okay? This segment is much more geared towards the people who say Trump doesn't have a plan, he's lucky, he doesn't know what he's doing, he's an idiot, etc. I listened to a show this morning that I like a lot, and they had somebody on, I'm not going to mention him, but it was sort of doom and gloom. Trump doesn't know what he's doing, he's a madman, these tweets that he puts out or these Truth Socials that he puts out are just unhinged, or he's crazy, we don't know. And I thought of two things. One, I thought of this technical information I'm going to share in a second because it hasn't got enough attention. But because I love movies and stories, I keep on thinking about the great American Western. The oversimplified formula for an American Western is there are bad guys and then there's townspeople. The townspeople are incapable of defeating the bad guys. The bad guys are totally malevolent. There's no reason. They're just cruel and they want to control people. Think leftists. And the townspeople can't fight them. A stranger comes into town and he just so happens to have a certain mentality or certain skills that he can handle those bad people. And he wants to. And he does, and there's a resolution and the bad guys are moved out. That guy who is technically the hero doesn't settle down in the town and start a family and become a farmer. He moves on. Why? Because he has a set of skills that are used for that occasion. And that's being able to kill people and be violent. And the town needed it. I think of that a lot when I think of Trump. I think of Trump as a change agent. I don't know that he would be a good president if everything was awesome. I don't know. He needs the challenge of the conflicts to overcome. Now I'm going to get into some specifics, but that's kind of what I think of. He is like that guy. He's like, any of the spaghetti westerns, Fistful of Dollars or Josie Wales or any of these ones. The guy from out of town, he's not from Washington. He's not a politician. He is not compromised. He is not corrupted. He is caring about the American people, the ordinary American people. He is wanting to go commerce, not conflict. These are all things that the bad guys, the leftists, don't want. They want conflict, wealth extraction, keep the people occupied and down. We'll get to that in the tax section. Okay, so there's some things. First of all, as I always say, Trump has a plan. How do I know that? Because he wrote it down and he put it on the on the White House website, the National Security Strategy. Go look it up. You can read it. But you can also start to see it. Trump won, drill baby drill. Why? He understood that as a base for America, we have to be not only energy self-sufficient, which he did, but we have to be able to produce enough for us and everybody else. Why? Because energy is sort of the precedent for a meaningful and sustainable society. If you don't have access to real energy, affordable, you cannot exist as a real society. And we saw that in the 70s. I can remember sitting in the fuel lines waiting, yet that whatever it was, like odd numbers were Tuesday and Thursday and even numbers were the other days or whatever, and you sat in there with your parents while you waited for gas. Without energy, countries have trouble. Okay? Drill baby drill was not just oil but was natural gas. He tried to get pipelines going. Already in the first quarter of this year, he's issued more permits for pipelines and other exploration on federal lands than all of last year, which is great. And on federal land, we, the taxpayer, we get royalties from that. I haven't seen the numbers, but I suspect the royalties are going up because he's really doing it. And if I read this correctly, there's 2.1 million homes in New York that There was a pipeline that was just approved for New York for natural gas, and now it's going to start to be built. It's going to take a while, but there'll be 2.1 million homes that they say will have $1,000 a year decrease in their cost of energy. How great is that? That is spectacular. All right, but the real stuff I wanted to get to today is we're seeing his plan play out. He got control of the Straits of Hormuz. Okay, great. Now what's happening? They're working on a full ceasefire and a full resolution. I told you yesterday, when I saw that Xi said he won't provide weapons to Iran, that tells me the war is over. Because if Xi thought he could cause us trouble by sending in arms, he would do it. So him agreeing not to says he's reading the tea leaves. These guys are Dunsky. By the way, the Russians aren't doing anything that we can see. Why? They're reading the tea leaves too. I don't know when it's going to resolve itself. But Trump has the Straits of Hormuz under our control. So now let's go back, roll the film back a little bit. Venezuela, largest oil reserves untapped in the world, under our control. Panama Canal, this went a little bit under the radar. The Chinese had control of the Panama Canal when Trump came in for Trump 2. Not anymore. Not anymore. Cuba's going. Western Hemisphere. Donroe Doctrine. Move over to Iran. Iran, number one. We got rid of the nuclear weapons. Huge deal. By the way, yes, terrible if they launch them at us. But what do you think happens if they send one to Riyadh? Or to Tel Aviv? What do you think happens then? Those are other countries that are going to have responses that we can't control. What happens if there's a full-blown nuclear war and it's only in the Middle East? We may not have to deal with the actual nuclear fallout in our country, but that is economic devastation. So he takes that out. Now he's got control of the Straits of Hormuz. 20% of the world's oil supplies go through. Okay, what else? Went under the radar. He's got to deal with Jakarta. Go look at your map. You probably don't remember this unless you're, kind of a nut job like me and others who study this stuff because we like it, but you'll remember it from your geography back in high school. The Strait of, The Strait of Malacca. It sort of goes down between Indonesia and Malaysia and sort of opens up the shipping lanes to China. Why do I mention this? 29% of, is it 29% of China's? No, 29% of the world's oil supply goes through that strait. Trump just did a deal with Jakarta, and we essentially have control of that too. Go read about the technicalities of it. It's got arms and it's got training and it's got a whole bunch of things. But it is massive change in kind to the way things are being done in the world. Venezuela, Panama Canal, Cuba, Straits of Hormuz, Iran's off the map with a nuke, and now Malacca. I think I'm saying that right. Maybe not. But you'll see it on the map. It's between Malaysia and Indonesia. Okay? 29% of the world's oil supply. So between Hormuz and Malacca, we got, what is that? Close to 50% of world oil supply passageways. Why is that important? Well, if we wanted to, and we are not aggressive lefties, and we wanted to shut those down, that would have a major effect on China, a major effect on the world. Same with Hormuz. It keeps people in line. So now China, who has ambitions to take over Taiwan and probably us, suddenly in the last year lost everything in the Western Hemisphere, including the Panama Canal, essentially the entire Middle East, and now this pipeline that's 29% of world oil, and it's 80% of Chinese oil. Do you think that changes the nature of the conversation when Trump goes in to talk to Xi? I think it does. Now, Trump has a unique way. He's not rubbing it in anybody's face. He isn't, by the way, I don't think he put that on Truth Social. It's, I'm sorry, I'm thinking about Fredo in The Godfather saying, I'm smart, not like they say. Trump is smart. And you TDS sufferers may not want to believe it, but he has a plan and he's been putting it in place. And he's continuing to do it. And how does he do it? He does it publicly. He's embracing Xi. Xi loves me because I'm doing this. He's going to give me a big fat hug. But don't get too comfortable because we still have aggression with us. Xi knows what's going on. But Xi's now going to be worried. So maybe Xi's now going to go into these negotiations and now he's going to think, well, let's do more of a commerce deal. Who knows? But it's very different. So suddenly where everybody was saying, Xi's got the upper hand, rare earth minerals, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe not. Maybe not. All right, I want to play you one more thing that relates to this because people like me look at that and say, this is Trump. You don't have to like him. You can still enjoy this stuff. Okay, this is great for America and great for the world. I said this yesterday. Imagine the Middle East when this thing unravels and it's all okay. And there's no threat of nuclear weapons from Iran and no billions of our dollars going over there to fund their shenanigans around the world. Imagine the kind of commerce that can happen. But there are TDS sufferers who were rooting for Iran to win, who are rooting for Xi to win, and who hate Trump more than they like America. And I'm going to play you something here. There it is. This, if you know this guy, he's a New York Times guy, Tom Friedman. He is a lunatic leftist Trump hater. Okay? Just listen to this.
To see Iran defeated militarily, because this regime is a terrible regime for its people in the region, and nothing would improve the region more than the replacement of this regime with a regime in Iran that was focused on enabling its people to realize their full potential and integrating peacefully with other countries and stop occupying Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, and Yemen. So I'm all for that. The problem is I really don't want to see Bibi Netanyahu or Donald Trump politically strengthened by this war because they are two awful human beings. They're both engaged in anti-democratic projects in their own countries. They're both alleged crooks. They are terrible, terrible people doing terrible things to America's standing in the world and Israel's standing in the world. And so I really find myself torn. I want to see Iran militarily defeated, but I do not want to see these two terrible people strengthened.
Okay, you hear that? This is what Clarence Thomas, the GOAT, was talking about. That's Woodrow Wilson. That guy, Friedman, looks down on Trump. Forget Netanyahu. We're not going to talk about Israel today. Okay? He looks down on Donald Trump and he's telling you, I'm torn. Iran's awful. I have to say that for the camera. But I don't want Trump to win anything. Trump's not winning. We're winning. America is winning. That's how crazy this guy is. This is TDS. Trump's winning. We're winning. The world is better without nuclear weapons in Iran. He even admits it. But this is the disease. So as Trump puts his plan into place and things are falling in line. By the way, like all situations in life, the Marines have it down. Improvise, adapt, and overcome. You're always going to have to do that. Why? Because stuff happens. Call an audible. Call an audible. That's what Trump's probably doing also. But he does have a plan. And these lunatics are wishing for Trump to lose. And they can't see that Trump is us. Trump is him. He wants to hurt himself so that Trump doesn't win. I promise, Friedman, you don't know me? I promise you, Trump is going to be fine no matter what. And he doesn't care about you. You with all this anger and resentment and hatred, oh, he's a horrible person. Says who? Says you? This is the leftist mind. Clarence Thomas taught us this. They think they're smarter and better and more righteous. And he has unique knowledge of what's good and bad. All right, I'm gonna move on. We're gonna go talk about taxes, which is a similar thing. Yesterday was tax day. I haven't heard this take talked about a lot. It's a pet peeve of mine, and if you're new to the show, over time, you'll hear me talk a lot about this. Warren Buffett. He's a stand-in for a lot of billionaires who like to side with leftists. The money always sides with leftists. Look at all the TV shows and movies we've seen about the Nazis. They always did deals with the billionaires, with the wealthy people. Okay? Warren Buffett likes to go on and constantly be like a doting grandfather and, I don't mind paying more tax, and I don't know why I don't pay more tax, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What he never tells you is a few things. For example, he doesn't share with you that he's wealthy enough that he can decide whether he takes ordinary income or capital gains or return of capital. So he's got flexibility to not pay taxes. He doesn't tell you, I choose to take ordinary income because I want to pay into the system. No, because he probably doesn't. He wants to lecture everybody else about how tax rates should be higher. He also doesn't tell you that he has access to the legislators. He works hard, and the people that he associates work hard to make sure that he has workarounds to the high tax rates. Oh yeah, okay? Things like the death tax or the estate tax. He doesn't share, or I've never heard him share, that he has spent tens of millions, if not more, to make sure that his estate pays as little estate tax as possible. If taxes are so great and he thinks everybody should pay more, why does he pay lawyers and accountants and consultants and whoever millions of dollars to avoid paying tax? Why doesn't he just let his estate go through probate and give 40% of it or whatever it is or was when he was doing it to the government? He doesn't tell you that. Okay? And he likes to be this doting sort of grandfatherly person saying, I would definitely pay more taxes. So I've got a short clip here. I'm going to play this one, and then we're going to discuss it briefly.
We'll pay it. And we always hope at Berkshire to pay substantial federal income taxes. We think it's appropriate that a country that's has been as generous to our owners. It's been the place I was lucky, Berkshire was lucky it was here. And if we send in a check like we did last year, we sent in over $5 billion to the U.S. federal government. And if 800 other companies had done the same thing, no other person in the United States would have had to pay a dime of federal taxes, whether income taxes.
Okay. He gets big applause for that. Oh, look at you saying if, 8 other companies did as good as I did because I'm so righteous. What he doesn't say is the shareholders, he's a big one, but it's shareholders, it's not him personally. He could personally pay more taxes. He chooses not to. He could personally, as I just said, not take advantage of the advantages he has. He doesn't do that. He does not seek to pay more taxes. That's, by the way, from 2024, so it's fairly recent. Okay? And then he gets all that applause, as the young people say, they're glazing him. Oh, look at you, isn't that great? What he doesn't share, which he knows, is that paying, so he said, I think he said 5 billion. So if there's 8 other, that's 40 billion. Okay? That's not gonna change much, number one. Number two, he knows that government won't suddenly get smaller from that. He knows that that'll just make government spend more because he knows how it works. He knows that government just prints money. They are not confined by what they take in taxes from people or companies. If that were the case, we wouldn't have a deficit. We have a deficit because they're not confined by that. They print money or they borrow it, which is partly printing too. That's a technical conversation for another day. But they borrow it and they drive up our debt. And as we're finding out, J.D. Vance and his fraud squad is making progress. That fraud squad is going to show us how much has really been stolen from us. Trillions, at least trillions a year. Warren Buffett does not share with the world as he's getting glazed. Oh, I paid $5 billion. Okay. By the way, super smart guy. I believe he means well, but he must be addicted to the glazing because he's not being truthful. What he should be saying is, it doesn't matter how much we send in. The government is always going to spend more. We have to make government smaller, not bigger. That's what Trump's doing. Trump's doing the things that nobody else would do. Nobody was going to go into Iran. No one was going to do all these deals around the world. Okay? Everybody talked about it for years. No one. No one was going to shrink the federal workforce. He's shrunk it by 300,000 plus. It's the lowest level since 1966, and he's going lower. He's shrinking government. Is it happening at the speed we want? No. Is there more to do? Yes. But there is a plan. And he is putting the plan into place. And day after tax day, I wanted to show that Warren Buffett clip, not to beat up on Warren Buffett. He's a brilliant guy, one of the richest guys ever, one of the great investors. However, I will also say that he has failed to recognize the role of money printing in his successful formula. Yes, he's a great investor, but money printing raises asset prices. He bought a lot of the companies that he owns 30 years ago. Great, good for you. And then money printing raised asset values higher than they otherwise would be. So he benefited. It's interesting because in his last speech in Omaha for his annual meeting, somebody asked him, what's something that keeps you up at night? And what he described was this problem, the money printing problem. Why? Because they haven't really made many investments in the last 8 or 9 years. They're sitting on $380 billion of cash. They have not kept up with the S&P 500. Why? Because they keep it all in cash, and money printing causes the purchasing power of the dollar to drop every year. He keeps his money in cash. It's dropping. He's not keeping up. And because asset prices are getting inflated, which is what money printing does, he doesn't see any place to put his money because he recognizes that those prices for those assets that I would want to buy is too high. So on the one hand, the things he bought 20, 30, 40 years ago have done great, money printing. On the other hand, he now can't find anything because of money printing. And he shared this. That is the case for Bitcoin, by the way. I can't help myself, so I will say, I believe that Berkshire will put Bitcoin or STRC on their balance sheet sometime in 2026. That's my guess. And I would not be surprised if we find out that part of the reason why he transitioned out, he was 96 or something, but is because he couldn't wrap his arms around Bitcoin, but the company knew that they needed to, and they needed to put some on. So he moves out, and now Abel, the new CEO, will make it his thing. All right, I wanted to share that. So we got the GOAT, Clarence Thomas, giving us a masterclass in leftism, progressivism, encouraging us all, or actually sort of telling us all, we need to be more involved. We need to protect our country. We cannot just loan our car out to somebody and not pay attention to it. They're going to ruin the car. We got to be involved. That's me and you, us doing the show, you watching, talking to people, anti-leftism, trying to get people who have been stuck in the Democrat Party to stop voting for them. Trump has a plan. He's the Hollywood, great American Western guy that comes in and fixes stuff. Okay? He's doing a plan. Venezuela, Panama Canal, soon to be Greenland and Cuba, Iran, the Straits of Hormuz, the Straits of Malacca, putting Xi in a bit of a bind, but because he's skillful, holding him tight, staying tight with him. We work together great. Isn't this better than conflict? He doesn't create a problem where there isn't one. He brings him in tight. And then we got tax day. Leftism. I'm better than you. I put in $5 billion, and if everybody else did, we would fix things. No, we would not. That's Lola. No, we would not. He's not telling us. And that was one of the big messages yesterday. Okay, there was, there's just a ton more, but I am trying to be conscious of time and keep the show, certainly under 45 minutes. I am just going to mention again, because it's a spiritual battle and because we need to stay out of the system. Leftism cannot have God in society. It does not work. Like most things, God is the antidote to chaos and leftism. So the more God in society, the founding fathers said it. We were a country founded on the Judeo-Christian values and principles of the Bible, the Old Testament and the New Testament. And they said that what they built was suited only for a religious and moral people. They knew this. This was not a mistake. Okay? One of the things we can do is build our own relationship with God. Pass that on to our children. Let other people in our world see that. It is the greatest life hack. Your life will be better. But it will also help save America. We need more God, not less God. Last thing today, on the medical stuff, we need to stay healthy. Why? You heard what the GOAT, Clarence Thomas, said about Woodrow Wilson, saying we want those docile people that we can make the decisions for. COVID was an experiment to try to see how docile we would be. Unfortunately, too many people took that vaccine and it's having terrible effects. But there are massive improvements in medical information and technology happening right now. And we need to make ourselves available to it. And that will keep us healthier and keep us out of the government system. Do your own medical research, do your own financial research, pass on information though. All right, that's the Ordinary American for today. We're going to be back here tomorrow at 2. Please like, subscribe, follow, pass on, send out, send our way, the email, theordinaryamerican@proton.me. Oh, somebody asked me about this. Reach out. If you want help in figuring out Bitcoin or the digital credit instruments that I've mentioned, SATA, STRC, reach out. We can get you, the information you need. I'm no expert other than I just start praying. But if you want help with finding a relationship with God, reach out. Anything you hear on the show, reach out and we'll try to put you in touch with the right people. Our goal is to try to make America great again and participate in that fight. On the X, we are The Ord American. We put everything in there. You can find pretty much all of this stuff and everything I try to put in there so people can see them. All right, as I like to say, I'm rooting for you. I hope you will root for me. See you tomorrow.